Good morning students. We have started introduction to DBMS, the lesson number 2. This is lecture number 4. The last lectures we have seen how to create a database by using LibreOffice base. In that lectures I already taught you how to create database, how to create tables and how to create a form. In today's lectures you are going to learn data model, properties of transactions and introductions of relational database management systems. So let's start. What are things we are going to learn? First, data model. Second, properties of transactions. Introductions of relational database management systems. Relationship in database and type of relationship. In the type of relationship you are going to learn one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship and many-to-many relationship. In this lecture you are going to learn only one-to-one relationship. So let's see what is data model. In database is designed according to a certain rules, and this logical structures of database is known as a model, and data models define how the data is connected to each other and how they are processed and stored inside the system. So it describes the method of storing and retrieving the data. So there are different models like a network models, hierarchical model and relational models. In the last lectures we have seen how to create a database, and we have learned how to store the record in the tables, and once we have stored the record in the tables, how we can retrieve it. Similar way we have learned to design the form. Through form also we can enter the record and it will go to the table in the database. My dear students, whenever you are using any program or any application, behind that application there is a database. Without database, that applications no use. If the application is storing the data, means it has a database. That's why whenever we install or uninstall the app, we get that data back, because that database store the data, and when you install once again you will see all the data in your app. Let us see the relational model. The most popular data model in DBMS is the relational model, and relational data model is the primary data model which is used widely around the world for data storage and processing, and this model is simple, has the properties and capabilities required to process data with storage efficiency. Now let us see what is transaction in the database, and it is a unit of work that is performed against a database. For example, if you are creating a record or updating a record or deleting a record from the table, and then you are performing a transaction on that table, it is important to control this transaction to ensure the data integrity and to handle the database error. Whenever you are using the database, in that time if you have deleted some record, you have updated some records, and while doing this you are performing this transaction, and that is called transaction in the database. Let's see properties of transactions. The properties of transactions. The transactions have the following standard property, usually referred to by the acronym ACID. A stand for atomicity, C stand for consistency, I stand for isolation, and D stand for durability. So let's see one by one. First is atomicity. Okay, atomicity, it ensures that all operations within the work unit are completed successfully, otherwise the transaction aborted at the point of failure and all the previous operations are rolled back to their formal state. So that the use of automaticity transaction property in the database. The next, consistency. It ensures that the database properly change states upon a successfully committed transaction. And the next is isolation. It enables transactions to operate independently of and transparent to each others. And the next one is durability. It ensures that the result or effect of a committed transaction persists in case of a system failure. My dear students, while creating the database, we must see all these properties of the transactions. Once you have created a database and you have launched or develop any app, you must go through all this property: automaticity, consistency, isolations, and durability, because it ensures that the result of effect of a committed transactions persist in case of system failure. Now we are going to see the introductions of RDBMS. What is RDBMS stands for? So RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. In relational database management is a considered as a collections of interrelated data. It is a collections of interrelated data. It has a basic database concept, and in that first is a table. The last lectures we have seen the tables, how to create a table in the database. The table is the basics data storage. In every database there is a table, and the table store the basics data. That's why it is called the basics data storage unit in a relational database. And the table consists of column and rows. Table consists of columns and rows. A database consists of one or more table according to which data is stored in a table. Database designer decide the name of the table and the title of columns. So in table, the columns consist the field names, means what type of data will go in a table. That will come to know to read that table title, means the column title. For example, suppose you are going to create a table students. In the student table, suppose consisting the column names, address, city. So name, the first field is given, the second field is given the address, and third field is given the city. So the first column will consider name of the student, second column address of the student, and the third column city of the student. So the each column called as the field. And when you are going to make the entry in the table, and once you finish full record, that is also called as the tuple or the rows in a tables. So in a table, a record means full informations about the students, their name, address, and city. Now field, as I told you, in a table consists of a information which is stored under different heading called as a field or columns. The columns are shown vertically in a table, and each field or column has an individual name. Two columns cannot have the same name. Two columns cannot have a same name, because each field or column has individual name. Next, record. All the column in a tables make a row. All the columns in a table make a row, and each row contain information on individual topic. A record is composed of a field and contain all the data about one particular person or company or item in a database, and record is also called as a tuple. In a table, the horizontal line where you can enter the information about the different field, that is called as the record. And the next, key. A column or combinations of columns which can be used to identify one or more rows, that is called tuple in a table, is called as key of the table. The row in a table is called key of the table. Now look at here, there are two keys, primary key and the foreign key. The group of one or more column used to uniquely identify each row of a relations is called as a primary key. When you're going to learn the relationship, that time I'm going to teach you what is primary key and what is foreign key, because it require to do the relationship between two tables, require primary key and the foreign key. The group of one or more column used to uniquely identify each row of relationship is called as a primary key, and the foreign key, it is a field or a collections of field in one table that refer to the primary key in the another tables. When you're going to join more than one table, that time the foreign key refer to the primary key in another table. Now let's see relationship in database. Now what is relationship? Relationship link data from individual table to increase the usefulness of the database. And a relationship in the context of database is a situation that exists between two relationship database table when one table has a foreign key that is used as a reference to the primary key of the other tables. When the table has a relation between them, then they can share the information to one and another tables. My dear students, when we have a relationship, we share each and every informations between the friends. Okay, if the relationship is not there, we are not disclose any informations. The similar way in a table also, if the table has a relation with the another table, so it can share the information from one table to the another tables. Now take the reference of this diagram or the graph. Here first table is the employee. It has a primary key called as a employee ID. Here is a primary key, the key sign is shown, the employee ID, and another table called as the employee, details. So in this employee detail has a foreign key, which refers employee ID, in order to uniquely identify the relationship between the two tables. Now this both the tables has a relation because one has a primary key and another has a foreign key, and both tables are joined to share the data between them. Means when you will create a form and enter the record will go in both the table because they are joined with the relationship. Now let's see type of relationship. There are three type of relationship: one to one, one to many, and many to many. Today in these lectures you are going to learn one to one relationship. In one to one relationship, one record in a table is associated with one and only one record in another table. For example, in a company database, each employee has only one person ID. And each passport ID is assigned to only one person. If you are going to see in your school, every student has assigned roll number or the register numbers. Means that register number is given to only one person, that will be the unique. So that will be not given to the another person. So we can easily identify that student on their roll number or their register number. So similarly in this database, in employee, one person is given the ID, and each person has a passport ID is assigned to only one person, and a one-to-one relationship look like this below relationship graph. Here the person ID and the person ID, in both the table there is a person ID, but the data will be different. The first table contain the name, person ID and email ID. The second table is having passport detail of the person, but the person ID will remain same. That is not going to change because we are going to do the relationship on this. While doing the relationship, both the table should have one common field. That is to do the relationship. If there is no common field, you are not able to do the relationship. So in this table there is one common field, that is person ID, and the another table also having the person ID, so you can easily do the relationship between them. So the next tables containing the passport number. So here three field you will get: person ID, name, email ID, and the passport numbers. When you join both the tables, you will get all these informations. Means one to one relationship. One record in a table is associated with the one and only one record in another table. That's why it is called as a one to one relationship. Now we will create two table, and we'll see how we can create a relationship between them. So that you have to open LibreOffice, go to the all program and click on LibreOffice 7 and open the LibreOffice base. Once it is open for you, you have to create two table, that is person and passport details. Like these two table you are going to create. Last lectures you have learned how to create tables. Now first you are going to create a database. That's why this database wizard screen show. Okay, so here you have to click next and give the name to the database. Now here we are going to create a database person and click on save. Now we have created the person database. In this person database we are going to create two table, that is person and passport detail. So first table we are going to create, that is person. So click on create table in design view, and the design view screen will appear. In this screen you are going to enter the field names. So what are the field names are there? Person ID first, person ID. This will go under the number data type. Okay, then name of the person, the data type will be text. Then email ID, data type will be text. So it has three field. Once you finish entering this field, then save this table with the name person and click OK. So now this person table is saved. Open this table and see a person ID, name, email ID. Okay, suppose you want to create the primary key to this, so open this with the design view once again. This table you are going to open in design view, so you can easily create a primary key to that table. Now close this table, create another table, that is passport detail. So go to the create table design view, here passport details name you can give to this table, but the common field will remain same: person ID, number, then here passport number. Here also data type decimal or numeric you can take. Save this table with the name passport detail. Click OK. Say yes. So here we have created two tables. The first table is person and the second table passport detail. Now let's see whether this both the table has a primary key and foreign key. To see that, you have to right click on that table and click on edit. You can see here person ID, it has a primary key over here. This is the first table. The person ID has a primary key. Now another table also has a primary key for the person ID. Look here, person ID means this is the common field. between the table. Now both the table has a primary key and the foreign key. Now we can create a relationship, that is one to one relationship. Now my dear students, you have to pay attention over here and note down these steps in your notebook how to create one to one relationships. The steps are: first go to the tools menu and click on relationship. To create a relationship, go to the tools menu and click on relationship. You will see add table dialog box on the screen. In this add table dialog box, you have to click on the first table and click on add, then click on the second table and click on add. So here you have added two tables. Now close the add table dialog box. Now the third step, you have to drag the common field from first table to the second tables. Means first table having the primary key, this field you have to drag onto the another table, the common field. Which is the common field is your person ID, so you have to drag the person ID onto the another table, person ID. So here you have created the relationship. Once the relationship is done, you will see the line is drawn between this table. Means both the tables now they are in relationship, means both the tables are joined over here. So this is called relationship. Okay, now here you have finished creating relationship between the tables. When you're going to create a relationship, you have to see the common field between that table, and you can drag the common field from one table to another tables. Means here is the primary key and here is the foreign key. You have to drag the primary key onto the foreign key to create a relationship. You want to delete the relationship, just double click on this and press delete key, so you can delete the relationship. Now once again I will show how to create a relationship between the tables. So drag the common field onto the another table, so you can create a relationship. Now here relationship is created. Now both the tables are joined. Now you can create a form and enter the record and see whether the data is going in two tables or no. We can create a form now. So to create a form, and through form we are going to enter the record in a tables. Once we finish creating the relationship, now let's learn to create a form in design view. So this way the design view will open. To change the background color of the form, just right click and go to the page style. In the page style, go to the area and click on color. So which color you want as a background to your form, select that and click OK. So that color will be taken over here. Now you can give title to your form: student data entry form. Increase the size. Student data entry form, take it center little bit, and now start designing the label and text box. Now to take the label, click over here and take the label here. How many label you want? 1, 2 and 3. 3 label we need. The first one for name, person ID. So right click and click on control property and change the label name here, person ID. Then you want to change the font, click on the font and select the font which you like, which is a good one font that you can take, which you like, that one. Now you can take this one, Arial black, you can Arial. Click OK. Font size you can increase, click OK. So this way person ID, label. Then you want alignment center, then take the alignment center. Okay, person ID is over. Now we are going to create a label for name. So right click, go to the control property, name, change the size and font, Arial, font size 14 and alignment center. Okay, and then here we need email id. So right click, go to the control property, the email id. Same here, you are going to change the font, alignment center font Arial, size 14. Click OK. Now next table having passport number, so we can take the passport number, one more label over here, that is passport number. Control property, passport number. Then change the font size, alignment also, font Arial, size 14. Okay, so here we finish label. Now we need text box to enter the data in the form, so we are going to create a text box. The text box 1, make duplicate of this text box, right click and copy and paste it. So you'll get a second text box over here, right click and paste, and one more, copy and paste the another one. So here we finish creating the text box. Now we need one push button. So here is the push button to add record. So right click over here and go to the control property and change the name of the button, add record. Now we'll take the field name from the table now. So right click over here, go to the form property and go to the data and select the table over here. Table require person first. Close it. Right click once again, go to the control properties, click on data field, person ID. So select your person ID and close it. Similar way for the name, right click, go to the control property, data field, name, close. For the email ID also same, go to the control property, data and data field, take the email ID and close it. Now the passport number is from another table, so you have to right click first, go to the form property and change the table name, that is passport detail, and then again go to the control property and select the data field and select passport number. Okay, once you assign all the field to the label, then go to the add record button, click on the control property, add, and go down directly to the action. Here you are going to select the action, add record means new record should work. Okay, so click on new record and then close it. Now you are going to check whether this form is working or not working, so that you have to click on this design mode. Click on the design mode and click in the text box. Now so click in the text box, the text box is blinking in the text box, so enter the record. Now we have created the form. Let's see, we are going to enter the data through the form. Now the data will go to the table, so I enter the data, name, email ID, gmail.com, and passport number. Click on add record. Once you click on the add record, the record will be added in the table. So here a record is added in the table. Let's see the data went in the table or not. So go to the table now and click on person detail. So you'll come to know just now what you enter the record, Don Bosco, person ID 3 and the email ID. So here the data went in the table. In the today's lectures we have learned data model, properties of transactions, introduction to RDBMS, relational database management systems, and relationship in database and their type, and we have learned the relationship 1 to 1. Thank you.